But first, it's becoming clearer than ever that the PM's voice referendum is about so much more than just the recognition of Aboriginal people in our Constitution. As I've been saying all along, this isn't just the honest recognition that Aboriginal people were the first Australians who deserve our respect. It's an activist power grab. Instead of being a simple act of courtesy towards Aboriginal people that the PM insists it is, the voice is just the start of a radical transformation of the least racist and most colourblind country on earth into something we are not. The voice is just the first of the three big steps contained in the Uluru Statement from the Heart. There's voice, there's treaty, and there's truth. And don't forget that the very first thing the PM committed his government to on the night he won the election was implementing the Uluru Statement, he said, in full.
And on behalf of the Australian Labor Party, I commit to the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full.
Now, Peter Dutton has tallied up all the times since then that Anthony Albanese has committed to the Uluru Statement in full. He now says that's no fewer than 34 times. But don't just take Peter Dutton's word for it. Here's one of the PM's own social media posts, alongside Linda Burney. It reads, Voice, Treaty, Truth, February 12, 2020. Or what about this one on the 26th of May? Again, Albanese himself on his social media, where he argues for a voice, treaty making, he says, and truth-telling to fully understand our history. And again, this post too on the 5th of August 2021, Voice, Treaty and Truth, because the PM says a nation not yet reconciled isn't truly whole. Indeed, as James Morrow also exposes today in the Daily Telegraph, as far back as 1986, Anthony Albanese is on the record as committed to reparations or compensation, land rights and for treaty to be and for sovereignty for Aboriginal people to be granted it in recognition of the effects, as Morrow writes, of invasion. In an open letter published in the National Times newspaper on April 18, 1986, Albanese joined Aboriginal leaders Pat Dodson and Marsha Langton, both leaders still in his inner sanctum on this issue today, calling for land rights, compensation for lands lost, and for, quote, social and cultural disruption. 1986. And if Albanese's voice gets up, his almost 40-year project to rewrite Australia's history, to forever change who we are, to create two classes of citizen, and to spend billions and billions and billions on compensation, well, that gets up too. Of course, with polls showing just how deeply unpopular this all is, once people start to really understand it, the Prime Minister now denies that the voice is about treaty too. Here he is on Sydney Radio with Ben Fordham just the other day.
As part of the Uluru Statement, we have a voice, we have treaty, we have truth-telling. As part of a treaty, won't there be compensation? If there is, I mean, that's not totally unexpected.
This isn't about a treaty, Ben.
But there are three parts of the Uluru Statement.
Yeah, and this is not...
So you're talking about the voice.
This is not about a treaty.
But as part of treaty, which we guess will be a following step...
This is not about a treaty.
Do you foresee that compensation would be paid?
This is not about a treaty.
Well, it is, PM. Your own social media posts say it is. You've been fighting for this since 1986. And now, too, as the Australian newspaper reports on its front page, your own Labor Party national platform will be changed to make an iron-clad commitment to the full Uluru program, Voice, Treaty, Truth, and to make it even more explicit. Now, Labor's current platform says that the Uluru Statement is, quote, a generous invitation to build a more reconciled nation, and that accepting this invitation will bring us closer together. The revised platform that'll get up in August will then say Labor supports all elements of the Uluru Statement, including a constitutionally enshrined voice, a Makarrata Commission for agreement making, that's treaty making, and a national process of truth telling. And this new platform goes on, and I quote, Labor will take steps to implement all three elements of the Uluru Statement in this term of government. So don't believe Linda Burney or Anthony Albanese or Noel Pearson when they tell you the Voice is just about getting kids to school and adults into work and grog out of vulnerable communities. It's about abolishing Australia Day. It's about negotiating treaties. It's about rewriting our history into a story of shame. And it's about paying reparations to Aboriginal people for the supposed illegal and immoral and racist theft of their country. Now, if you want to say to me, Peta Credlin, I think that's a bit far-fetched, I want you to take the time tomorrow to read all the official documents associated with the Uluru Statement that I referenced in my column in The Australian. I'll bring them to you tonight here on Credlin tomorrow as well. Now, these documents are now all available, not because the Prime Minister wants you to see them, but because they've been forced out into the open with an FOI. 60 years ago, on the 28th of August 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. set out what I thought would be the challenge of my lifetime. To judge each other, he said, not by the colour of our skin, but by the content of our characters.
My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Now, if you still believe, like I do, that character's what counts, not skin colour, then there's only one thing to do. And that's to defy the weight of money and moralising and deceit, and now this deliberate hiding of information, and vote no, a resounding no, to this divisive and dangerous voice.